Okay, good morning, everybody. Not evening, good morning. Hope everybody's having a good morning today. Let's go ahead and get started. Looks like there's already a couple of trade setups lining up, so we'll want to get to those quickly. Before we get into those trade setups, as always, just got to remind you about the risks involved in the market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how big your lot size is and how many pips you're risking on each trade, and ultimately how that would affect your account. So make sure that you're going through that each and every time that you take a trade. Awesome. Okay. And let me know if you guys can't see my screen. I should be sharing. I am shorting the Euro franc right now. Kind of got a larger position on here. So basically, here's what's going on, guys. That's the trade I'm in. I'll explain more right now. So basically, this pair does not have any news, right, that I'm aware of. There was GDP news for the pound this morning. There was dollar news. There's an FOMC meeting later. So I'm trying to weave around some of these news events, right? We want to find a pair that's kind of non-related to a lot of some of these things that are going on, right? The euro and the franc don't appear to have any. I mean, every pair's connected to every news event, right? Like every pair reacts, but some react more than others, right? Like obviously a GDP event that's associated with the pound is going to affect the pound more than the euro, although you still will see some repercussions and ripple effects throughout the euro, but it's just such as life, right? We have to deal with it. So anyway, what I've got here is a short built in on the euro franc. And if you guys know anything that I don't know, let me know. Like if you know there's a news event going on, let me know. But basically, the euro franc's been down recently. It's been pushing lower throughout the day and the previous day. And so I've just gone ahead and built in a short. We are puncturing through the upper Bollinger Band on a 5-minute, which is exactly what you're looking for on the banker's close. So in addition to that, the euro is being shorted on the COT report. We're buying francs on the COT report. So this matches well in terms of the COT report too. So anyway, this trade looks good to me. So that's why I'm going to short this pair. We also have a lot of experience trading this pair. We traded this a couple of times last week. So I feel good about it. And I've already got a pretty large position built in. So I'm not adding more trades right now unless the market makes another high. So let's go ahead. I'll show you. Let's see. Let's draw our vertical lines out. So basically, well, basically this is the start of the hour, right? We just barely started. And this would be the end of the hour. We'll probably drop to a 1-minute chart in just a moment. But before I do that, let's draw out where some significant levels of resistance might be. So if the market wanted to make another high, that's a good spot. If it wanted to go even higher, I would say around here is where there's a lot of confluence. Mainly looking at this and this guy over here. And then maybe right here would be the next level of confluence. So those would be our levels where we'd probably add a little bit harder. Also, while I'm doing that, this is the mid Bollinger Band right down here. I'm just going to draw a line instead this time. About that support level would be the mid Bollinger Band. All right. Let's drop down. Now that we've got our 5-minute chart analysis done, we can drop down to a 1-minute chart and actually see this in action. You know what? Because I am pretty large, I need to shorten up this position just a little. Let me go ahead and just get rid of a couple of these. There we go. And so my cleanup was minus 5.8 pips on that. So I'm just leaving some room in case we do make another high up here. But yes, let's go ahead and move these targets in now that we know where the general target would be, which would be like right around here. this is where we'd want to be closing a lot of the trades. Okay. And then we'll just manage this as we go. Move some of these around, maybe have a more aggressive target down here. Intermediate target, I guess. Some more conservative targets, maybe like right up here. Conservative one. Something like that looks good to me. All right, and now we wait. Once you've got the position built up to about the size that you're looking for, then just go ahead and hands off until the market, obviously we're ready now. We've got the targets in. If this thing is ready to just start coming down, we'll go ahead and take that and, book our profits when it starts coming down. If it wants to break higher, obviously we'll respond to that as well. And today, one of my focuses is try to be a little more patient. Obviously, yesterday we did well. We made over 100 pips, 112 pips, but most of that was made on the first trade. The second trade was kind of a draw, even though it worked out great on that pound franc. Had I had more patience to let the trade run its course, that would have been even more successful than the first trade we actually took yesterday. So that's one of the things I'm trying to do, is just be a little more patient with some of these trades, to let them play out, let them do their thing. I'm not going to demand a profit, within 10 minutes, like let the trade run its course. Sometimes it takes an hour or two to finally fade down from the high of the day, or from at least the banker's close high. So that's going to be a focus today. Another thing too is, if we do get a good profit out of this quickly and we close out of most of these trades like we did yesterday, we'll probably look for a second opportunity. I thought that was a lot of fun, because yeah, anything in this time frame between anything between the 3 p.m. GMT to 4 p.m. GMT is available. Like you can look for opportunities in that time frame. Absolutely. Just because you got one trade done doesn't mean you have to be done for the day. I mean, if you want to be done and you're happy with the profit you made, then great. But I just think, hey, if that phenomenon is still available and we can still take advantage of whatever the market's giving us, let's go ahead and take advantage of that. So let's see, any other things I wanted to mention? Yeah, this one, we'll let this may not make us a ton. Well, it depends. If it does hit some of these lower targets down here, yeah, we might make a good amount of money on this today. But the just because we're weaving around a lot of news events, we're playing with currency pairs that are not as volatile, but that's okay, right? Like I would much rather play with something that's more likely to experience the banker's close phenomenon over something that might be superseded by the news. Because obviously, if there's a lot of news events today, if those news events are going to drive most of these markets, the regular phenomenon that we're used to may not take place. And so I would rather make less than lose money, right? I think we'd all agree with that. While this is sitting here, I'm just curious to see if anything else is lining up. Let's go ahead and look at some of these other pairs while we're just in that no man's land range. This one would probably be an opportunity. It's essentially the same trade we're already in, just on the euro yen instead of the euro franc. That one's just kind of in a consolidation phase. We'll see what that does later. Euro Kiwi earlier was an opportunity. I I mean, it's the same trade. We're staying away from the dollar, right? Even though that still might be a good trade. We're staying away from the pounds. Let's see what the francs are going to be our friend today. Yeah, this wouldn't actually be bad either. This one. Yeah, we could come back and look at that. But the euro franc is definitely a good one because you have the euro and franc relationship, which is awesome. And as far as I could tell, there weren't a lot of news or any news to these two currencies. And we'll just wait and let that do its thing. I do that every day. I feel like I always clean up. Except I kind of have my max. So here's where I'm at with this account. There's almost $8,500 in here. I try to just right now currently I have this max initial position at about a quarter contract. So a quarter contract is my max initial, but I'm willing to go up to a half contract if we need to, if the market continues to make that high or expand that high or low, if we're buying. So I'm willing to go up to a half contract, but so that's why I'm not using the full half contract right now, because I need that ammunition in the event that the market made another high on this pair, or if we were buying, if it made another low. Because what the worst thing that can happen is if you don't have ammunition, and that market goes against you and you need to be able to tango with it later. So that's why I don't expand out to my max contract size in the beginning. I'll basically build a starter position. My starter position is anywhere between 0.2 to 0.25 contract on this account, right? And we just be patient, right? I might, just because it's showing, like if it does come back up here, I may add back some of those other trades. Let me show you guys a fun trade that you can trade at night. I traded this last night. And just while we wait for this. So the banker's close not only works just for the London close, although this is most likely going to be your most lucrative opportunity, is to trade the London close like we're trading right now. And it's usually the most convenient for most folks, I'd say, just because it's, in the morning, it's after you wake up. If you live on the East Coast, it's around lunchtime, maybe like an early lunch type of thing. You could trade it, you could trade at work if you can take that lunch early. So this one's really nice, this close. But there's also the Tokyo close, which is a really Tokyo and Sydney close. Technically, Sydney close is really underwhelming, but the Tokyo close is pretty legit, actually. So you could actually, let me show you what I do with that. So last night I decided to stay up. I wanted to make a little extra money. So the Tokyo close for me in Mountain Time Zone, that's between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. So if you're up late with the heartburn or something like that, and you're like, well, I would like to make some money while you have that heartburn or whatever, that's a great opportunity. Or you're just sleepless or whatever, or you're just willing to get up to make that extra money. You could do that. For my East Coast friends, that's going to be way more difficult, I would say, because that's going to be between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. It's probably about the most inconvenient time possible to get up. So anyway, you do the math on what time that would be for you. But nonetheless, it's not a bad thing. And even if you don't trade it, it's a good gee whiz to know. But so for example, I was trading the Kiwi yen last night, and you can pull up, let me go back to where this was. So 6 a.m. GMT, or excuse me, 7 a.m. GMT is one in the morning mountain, which is about right here. And I'll be honest, I got to this trade a little early. So, and then here's 8 a.m. So this would be 2 in the morning right here. And basically I just started, I mean, I called the trade early, like I was up earlier than this. So I got in about 10 or 15 minutes early. I found that the Kiwi yen was the hottest currency of the morning of last night. You can check this. I have a watch list right here on TradingView where you can just find out what's the biggest moving currency. You know, right now it's the pound yen. Last night it was the Kiwi yen. It's the hottest moving currency. There was no news associated to the Kiwi or the yen. So I did the same process that you and I are used to. And then I jump over here, and then I just go ahead and execute a position to counter trend against whatever's happening around that time frame. Now, again, I did cheat a little. I got in about 10, 15 minutes early, but sometimes it's okay to do that. Like, it's not, I'm not saying you have to trade exactly within that window, like around the window is, you know, kind of the concept, right? It's the same thing with our bankers close that we're in at the moment. You know, it's, you're just trying to trade around that window. But yeah, so anyway, I held this thing, and then by, you know, that half hour of, you know, by 1:30 in the morning mountain, this had pulled back 35 pips from its highest high. And most of those profits closed out somewhere in here. But yeah, same exact concept. You can actually do this on any you could do this on any currency pair, like even the euro dollar, I think, had one last night. Yeah, let me delete all this stuff. So here's 1 in the morning mountain. Here is 2 in the morning. You could inch up and cheat a little and get into this early and short this. You could also wait for this to really pull back, and there's a second opportunity to buy down at this low. I mean, you could do that one too. For me, I like to grab the first one and be the most aggressive on the first opportunity that I see. So, but again, my process for this is I like to find the fastest moving currency pair that has no news. Again, fastest moving, you know, in the last, during the session, but did so without any news, right? And that was this pair right here. And so I inched up 10 minutes early and just started shorting that move right there. And then you're done. You're just waiting. And if you look at this from a 5-minute chart, which is the Bollinger Band, you can see the exact setup. Technically, yeah, in order for it to be in a setup, you'd have to be in a little bit earlier than the actual 1 o'clock in the morning mark, but that's okay. It's not, again, it's not exactly. Let's head back over to the Euro franc. Looks like it's moved up a little, and let's see if it makes another high here, because this would be an opportunity for us to scale into the position a little bit. I think I will just add one more trade. I would like to have a slightly larger position. Sorry, I grabbed 2. But yeah, let's leave that as the starter position. And then, yes, let's watch this closely to see if it makes another high here. And then if it makes that high, we can then respond. So again, here is this is where we started today, right here. And then this is our window of opportunity till about right here. And then I deleted a lot of stuff. Sorry, I won't keep navigating away. You can even see the euro franc. Look at this during the Tokyo close window. So same window we're doing for London, but for Tokyo, this one right at the close of Tokyo made a low down here. I'm not exactly sure why it did that, but interesting manipulation, right? And then boom, just right at the close of Tokyo, that thing just came right back. You guys know I try to trade currencies that are related to the close, but it looks like other currencies that are not necessarily related still have similar phenomenons and manipulation that happen around that time. Which, by the way, I think that pound franc move, I think it was, who was it yesterday that said this? Oh, I can't remember. Somebody yesterday said, you know, somebody fell asleep on the buy button on that pound franc yesterday. Yeah, well, it's not necessarily I mean, that's an interesting comment because that pound franc had no news. There was nothing that drove that pound franc higher yesterday when we were shorting it. And then ultimately, because it had nothing substantive behind it, when that manipulation was over, yeah, of course it pulled back, right? So if we see, that's why I feel confident with this too, this euro franc. If we see this thing want to make another, you know, high, if this thing wants to go up again and there's no news, we should feel pretty comfortable selling into that. And now we just wait. I feel better now. I'm glad I got my extra 2 positions in there. So if it does come down now, I've got a little bit of a larger position. But I'm also comfortable too, you know, if it wanted to go ahead and make those highs up here, I feel comfortable with that too. Again, let me go back and draw out where some of these major resistance levels are. Again, there was a spike up to there. Let me go to a 5-minute. Right there and right there, those are the levels. Okay, sorry, I'll stop moving my chart. Okay, here we go. There's also a New York close opportunity. I'm sure some of you have probably already thought about that. That's not necessarily bad. The only problem you have with the New York close is there's a time of the day, there's like 2 or 3 hours in the day when there's no market that's open, and it's right when the New York close happens. 2 to 3 hours after that, the Australian market opens, and there's 1 to 2 hours where nothing in the world is open. I mean, the currencies still move, but the spreads are so wide that it just doesn't make any sense. So it's like a no trade, it's like a no man's land for anybody worldwide during that 2 or 3 hours. There's really no volatility at all. And because of that, it's the only session close. The New York close is the only session close where there isn't an overlap where another session can take over and follow through with that volatility that we need for the trade to play out, if that makes sense. You know, if you think about it right now, we are in the London close opportunity. There's a big session open right now. Well, both of them are open. Obviously, London's still open for another 35 minutes. New York's open for another, what, like 6 hours, something like that. And so 5 hours. And so if we need more volatility from the London close to carry us through or allow our trades to fade through or whatever we need, we're going to get that help because of the New York market. But you don't have that when the London market or the New York market closes. And so it makes it incredibly more difficult to pull a profit. And you really have limited trade options. You can trade the dollar, you can trade the CAD, and that's really it. So you don't have a lot of currency pairs to select. Also, because of the lack of volatility, and even though we're closing, a lot of the traders have wrapped up for the day. I mean, if you ask anybody who trades on Wall Street, they'll tell you, oh yeah, most of my trading's done in the first couple of hours of the open. Or, we'll do this, we're doing the last hour of London, but we're still in the first, I think, couple of hours of New York. Tokyo is fortunate as well. If you think about it, at 2 a.m, let's see, at 1 a.m, the London market opens. So there's an hour overlap of London and Tokyo. And you've got largely most of London still left, right? You only have an hour into London when Tokyo closes. And so you've got that follow through volatility that we just talked about. So yes, you can, like, there are pips to be made at the New York close, but I've done it a lot. I used to trade when I was going to school. I would trade. I had a period where I wasn't going to classes, and I would try to trade the New York close in the Forex market. And yeah, it was like, I'll be honest, like if you made 5 pips on a single trade, that was good. So it was kind of hard to squeeze out the pips. Whereas like right now, once we get a nice punch here, like a single bar can be 10 pips, 20 pips on a single bar. Not the case at the New York close. And then there's other miniature closes, like Sydney closes at 12 a.m. my time. I think that's 2 a.m. Eastern. But and yes, there's an opportunity. You can squeeze out an opportunity. It's really small. So the 2 closes I would trade if I were you, if you can afford the sleep, I guess, would be Tokyo, and obviously if you can prioritize it, I would prioritize the London close, just because you're going to get a lot more volatility. Today has been slow. Today, as you guys know, you've traded this with me before. Volatility has been really slow on this. I think part of it is because there's not a lot of interest in these pairs, because a lot of the money has flowed over to some of these other currencies with news. However, with this particular strategy, I think it's important to stay away from the news, because you can really get hurt on those pairs. We'll get what we want. We just have to be patient. Again, that's the key word for today, is patience. Yeah, it's going to work out. Just need time. I'm going to go check and see how, just because I'm waiting. I want to see how some of these other pairs are doing, that are the Aussie franc. This was another one I was thinking about trading, that you and I could trade. It's basically the same trade, just a little bit different. Let's see, CAD franc. Yeah, that could have been an opportunity. With that one, I feel like you'd want to get in 10 minutes earlier, right? Let's go to the franc yen. Just curious to see some of these other pairs. All right, let's head back to the Euro franc. It looks like it may be making a run for it, or at least an attempt to do so. Hey, Rodney, good to see you. We're just shorting the Euro franc right now. It's our first and only trade, and most of my trades, we haven't booked any profits yet, so I'd say it's not a bad time necessarily to get in. But just be aware, if we're still in that window to make another high. So if it makes another high, these are the different resistances that we'd be looking for to add to the position. So just be aware of that. And another thing we also mentioned is the market is being a little bit slower right now. It's because there's a lineup of news events today that have already happened and will happen. And so we talked about how we're just kind of taking trades that are not related to that news. And this one is not. So Euro Franc should be clear of news today. And we're just going to be patient. We're going to let this do its thing. I like that this candlestick here engulfed that entire bull candle. That blue candlestick is slightly bigger than that green one, so we'll see if that follows through. As we grow our class, something I was going to say too, as we get a bigger following, I may, just because I like to trade that Tokyo close, I may do I don't know how many people would be interested. I'm thinking pretty much mostly it'd be people on the West Coast and in Hawaii and Alaska. People would be interested in that Tokyo close. If you lived in Hawaii, that Tokyo close would be probably the most perfect time for you. I would say, let's see, that'd be like at 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the evening. I think something like that would be the Tokyo close. Maybe a little bit later. Yeah. Anyway, that could be a good one. Like I said, Tokyo close happens between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Eastern, so kind of hard to do that one if you live on the East Coast. But you could, I'd say maybe if you lived in California, let's see, that would be between, still kind of late, but yeah, it'd be between 12 in the morning, 12 midnight and 1. Not for a little while though. I need to grow. I'm still working on getting more clients in here, but as we start to grow a little bit, I may do that at night. I think that could be some fun. And yep, we're just waiting. I mean, it's been a slow day. And this slowness is due to just, the money has shifted away from this pair. Most of the capital in the market is allocated to the dollar and the pound today with all that news going on. But again, we're kind of sheltering away from that because technically, again, as you guys know, with the bankers close, you really do want to have currency pairs that are unblemished from some of that other noise in the market. So the way this is going to react is when this thing finally comes down, it's going to be one of those like forever long consolidations, and then it'll just be kind of like all at once, right? So we're just waiting for that. And same thing, if it decides it wants to break higher, it could be a really quick, pop to the upside, and then it may consolidate for what feels like forever. and then it'll probably come down at that point, and then we'll get all of our money. But yeah, definitely going to be a slower day just because of that news lineup. There's no rate statement today, but obviously anytime there's an FOMC meeting, you know, you're going to see a lot of movements in the market later today. Anytime Jerome Powell has something to say, especially like right now, like I felt like several years ago when it was Janet Yellen and other folks, you know, they were just like, hey, what's up? Rates are staying the same. We're not doing anything. Okay, cool. Thanks. Like, you just gave us permission to keep doing what we were doing in the stock market. And it's like, we already knew you were just going to say the same thing. Like, you know, they just pay you to say the same thing. But now, since they, you know, over the last several months, people have been paying attention to the Fed probably more than in the last 5 or 10 years, to be honest, right? People are paying a lot of attention, even regular folks who aren't interested in finance necessarily, like you and I are. You know, these are folks that are just like, hey, this is affecting my pocketbook now. I'm literally seeing my credit card interest rate go through the roof. Why is this? And people are finally getting involved in that. Like, what's causing this? What's affecting it? That kind of thing. But yeah, now he, you know, we're always trying to find, and one of the things you'll see as you guys trade and listen to these rate statements, whenever they come out talking about rates, I pause for a second. The interesting candlestick, right? So we had a long consolidation and then just a boom bar type of thing, right? That's kind of what we were expecting. We'll see if it gives any follow through. Anyway, nothing to do. Hopefully your position's already built up, but again, we're just hold. And it's going to be a little bit tough to break through this support, but I feel like we need to. I feel like the market ought to. So again, I'm going to continue to hold beyond that support right there. Anyway, yeah, people are paying more attention to Jerome Powell and what he's doing. And then one of the things I was going to say is I feel like people focus on the traders focus on what is the expectation of the Fed. Is the Fed going to be are they going to hint towards lowering rates or raising rates even further? People often see rates jump before they've actually jumped, right? Or rates will come down before they actually have gone down necessarily. Just because whatever the Fed is hinting towards, the markets will take in and price in before it's actually happened. That's why on days where, you know, let's say the Fed comes out and says we're going to raise rates by 0.75 or a half a point. If the expectation is for them to raise it a half a point, and that's been the expectation for like a month or whatever, and it actually happens, usually the markets won't do much. And people are like, why didn't bonds sell off because rates went up today? Well, it's because it sold off a month ago and people were already all over it a month ago, right? It's funny when people apply for mortgages too, they're like, man, I got to get my interest rate locked before Wednesday because that's when they're raising rates. It's like, no, bud, I'm sorry. Like rates have already gone up, right? But we'll see what happens because rates are really high. I mean, where's the 30-year mortgage right now? I think it's like, I checked this morning, it was like 6.87%. I don't know anybody that has a 6.87% in the, you know, right now. I think everyone I talk to is like at least below 4, right? In fact, I think a lot of people are below 3% even on their mortgages. So I don't know why you'd ever refinance in a market like this unless you had to get divorced or maybe you had to do a cash out for some reason. But that's expensive money if you have to, because that's just the, you know, the rate, you know, 6.87 just as is. But when you do like a cash out refinance, or when you've got a you know, or maybe you don't have as good of credit, like your rate could be over 7 or something like that. So anyway, interesting times. We'll see what happens. I mean, today obviously they're not raising rates, they're just talking and speculating. So depending on the tone of what they say, we'll see how that affects the market. But we'll be in and out of this trade way before that happens. Again, we're trying to take shelter in different pairs and different opportunities right now, staying away from that other stuff. Okay, this is kind of boring. I have to go do something. Let's take a look what we could have done better now that everybody's here. Let's go take a look at that pound franc from yesterday, because that was such an interesting trade, wasn't it? How we traded that one. Let's see, where was, I think I need to go to a 5-minute chart to find that. Yeah, here it is. So this is where we were trading yesterday, right here. Let me plot these trades out. Here they come. Boom, there they are. So we literally caught the high of the day. I mean, that was fun. I wish we had been more patient. Again, that's keyword for today. But this trade opportunity came up after we had shorted the Euro CAD. We had made over, I think, 126 pips on the Euro CAD yesterday, right at the open of the banker's close opportunity as the webinar started. And then this opportunity came along about midway through, right? So this thing just we started shorting that right here, and it just kept on going up about 40 pips in just like 10 minutes. And we kept on shorting, and good thing we did stick with our guns, right? If there is no news associated with those pairs and you're trading the right pairs, which this is a great pair to trade in the banker's close, pound franc, right at the London close in that hour, this is a phenomenal trade opportunity, right? If there is no news, you need to call BS on that move. You need to be able to have the courage. And this is where I'm saying this because you guys saw me trade this yesterday. I had a little bit, as you saw, I had some anxiety with this yesterday. Now, fortunately, we made out okay, but I feel like we could have done a lot better. We could have been a little bit more, like I said, I think courageous would be the word, right? How can we be a little bit more courageous when this adversity comes in your face? Because this adversity is huge opportunity, right? Can we all agree on that? Huge opportunity, right? And we did get a good chunk of that. Like we had a couple of trades right up at the top there that closed out here for plus 50. That's amazing. That's wonderful. But we did have a couple of trades down here that we got into and sold out, did a little cleanup that lost, 38 on a couple of those too. So could have done a little bit better. This was a news event, that speech that we were talking about that happened later. Obviously, we'd be out before that happened. Obviously, I mean, how cool would it have been to have taken advantage of that? But that's hindsight, and that's not the strategy rules. So basically, from here to the news event would be fair game for us. And yeah, we should have made money on every single trade, which we did. Again, I'm not saying we did a bad job, but I'm also not saying we did a great job. We could have done a much better job on this. But yeah, if there's no news, no nothing like that, we should be taking advantage of that move and seizing that opportunity while it's there. And that's why I'm trying to have a little more patience today with this trade is, hey, you're trading it right. There's no news. This is the banker's close opportunity window. Let's stay in it, stick with it, right? All right. Technically, you could be like, oh, I mean, right now may be a good opportunity to get into this one, but there is news today. There was a GDP announcement this morning on the pound that's causing the pound to rise. So I'm trying to stay away from it. All right, let's head back over here to our slow moving trade. And yeah, we're just retesting this support level again. And I'm just trying to be Just trying to be patient with this. It's just, we need it to bust through. We're just waiting for it to bust through this support here if it can. Man, this is slow today. Jeez. I feel like it will break through, but it's going to be slow. I just like how, if you zoom in, I don't like to trade patterns as much. They can be kind of misleading and they're very subjective, but you know, this technically is a descending triangle, and technically those wind up coming down at some point. I've seen a lot of them go up first and then come down. So we'll see if it does that. But again, that's just going to be, you know, a patience game. We just have to be patient. Do you think it would be smart though that on the next break we should take a lot of these profits? Looks like we're getting close here. Well, I think you guys would agree with that. But yeah, if it busts through, if we get another little candlestick that busts through here, we should probably start taking some of those. And that one is just the difference of the spread right there. Come on, you can do it. Take it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just manually pull one of those trades. Yeah, I think I have, well, I just closed one. Let's see. I think it was 9 actually. Let me check. I think I had 9. Yeah, I had 9. Now I have 8. I'm going to close just one more just because like it did bust through, and I want to take just a little bit of that money. But yes, leave the rest. Okay, I'm going to move this target down just a little. Honestly, I'm going to bring this greedy target up here to something more realistic like that. This would be this is what I want right here. But so far looking good, right? Looking good. I kind of wish I put on more positions, but again, I just gotta, and maybe I need to reevaluate my max position size. Maybe I need to be willing to go up to a full contract and then maybe have my starter position, maybe like 0.3 to a half contract. Just because I feel like we've done a really good job recently at managing risk and finding good entries and stuff like that. So I think it might be a good idea to start increasing that up. I think it's always a good idea to reevaluate your risk and what you're willing and not willing to do. Just because, if you're going to spend your time here, you might as well, make it worth it. And that's the thing too about these trades. Like you can be trading this and make $1, in an hour. You could make $50, you could make $100 taking the exact same trades, right? You could make thousands of dollars taking the exact same trades. But again, you have to ask yourself at what point, how much, even if I'm really good at this, how much am I willing to put down and manage at the same time? I think are really important questions to ask yourself. And that's a question that I can't really answer for you. It's a question I can answer for myself about me, but like each one of us has to be, at the end of the day, be willing, like, hey, how much am I willing to put in to a trade? Because every trade that you put in has the reciprocal, has the opposite. You can lose the other side of that. All right, our best trade's up just about 9.5 right now. And yeah, it's looking good. Just slow moving grind, slow moving grind. I think at this point, we probably won't get another high. There's only 8 minutes left. So, I think we're kind of just looking at just managing the rest of these trades that we have open. I'm going to go ahead and pull just one more trade off. That's what I want right there. Let's go back and see. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay, I just had another one that closed on its own. This looks good. Okay. All right, and then let's go and pull the stop losses in as we start to wrap up here. It's a good day. Like we made some good money. Like it's like a normal day, like 0.25% of your account gain. By the time this is done, we should have that. Actually, it looks like it's still expanding. Let's see where are we at. Yeah, we're almost there. Yeah, it's a good day. I think yesterday we made like 0.3% of the account, and we've been pretty consistent at that, like 0.25% of the account every day, or 0.25% of the account every day. And again, we did the math on that. If you do 0.25% of your account every day, which we haven't had a losing day with this in several weeks. So if you make 0.25 times 5 days in a week times 52 weeks in the year, some holidays, right? Like that's 65% not compounding. So, that's pretty good. All right, so let's pull these stop loss. Where do we want to put these stop losses? I would say at this point, since we're here, I'm going to pull just one more trade off. And then let's see, where do I still have yeah, I still have a target or two out here. Let's bring these in. You can put them, you can decide where you want them. Like if you want to put them above the previous high of the hour, or if you want to put them at break even. I think I will do this to the break even, or like a little bit of profit so it doesn't, so it can cover the spread if it does close for a loss. And who knows, maybe in the next few minutes, these will just plunge through here. We're at a level of a lot of support right now. That's why I've been pulling off some of these. In fact, I'm just going to pull off one more. That's it. Sorry. Take one more. The rest of these I'll let sit just a little bit longer. Let this do its thing. Let's see, this is close. That one trade is really close. But yeah, kind of a slow moving trade, but still, you know, still did what we wanted, just in its slow way of doing it. I'll let these last few trades sit here. And yeah, I'm not going to be looking for more opportunities at this point. You know, we're pretty much at the end of the hour. I'm happy with this gain today. And then, yeah, I think I might tomorrow consider, oh, which by the way, okay, hey, one little side note. Let's see, tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah, we'll do trading tomorrow. On Friday, I'm going to be gone. It's my anniversary weekend, so I won't be doing any classes on Friday, just so everybody knows now. But yeah, we'll do one class tomorrow. We still have COT report tonight too, so you guys can all come to the COT report, which would be awesome. Just learning more about the COT report and how to take some swing trades with the COT report. Sorry, I'm stalling, guys, because I feel like these are going to close here in just a second. And I'm like, I just want to end the class on just everything closing. But yeah, so we'll do the COT report tonight. We'll have one more class tomorrow, and then I'll wrap up the week. I'll probably still trade if I am up and not busy on Friday, but I won't be doing a webinar. So, well, sweet. Awesome, guys. Well, appreciate your attendance. Good trade today. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you guys tomorrow or tonight.